You got it?
Настоящий дракон.
За 3 минуты pójdzie.
Там пещера драконовая.
You want a picture by the dragon? No? We're gonna, after things, we can go to that street. They have souvenirs, and that's the cheaper place to get souvenirs. I'm
Znam mnie lepiej nic nie będę ja. Ja z tysiące dziś dla ciebie mam. A ty pytasz mnie, co tobie dam.
Look at this guy on the horse. You know who that is? You should guess, easy. Remember Lafayette Park?
Костюшка?
Kosciuszka, yeah. That's a big beautiful poem.
Yeah, I know, but why he is in the castle?
He's buried here.
Oh.
So,
Wino jest?
see this tower? This chapel? On top of the tower, when we're going to be visiting the cathedral, Coronation Cathedral, we can walk up there. However, there's not a very good view because you have the screen. But there is the bell that they made this bell from all the metal that they win from all the battles. That they, you know, like those guns. Big guns here too. And you see, maybe we're gonna go higher so we can see those guns. So after all the winning battles, they brought those guns like a trophy, and they melt them, and they made that bell. Right? That bell is huge. Just the heart, you know. The one that is making sounds, it weighs over a ton. You know, I have no idea how they get up there. I have no clue. Yeah. This was a challenge. So if you feel like you wanted to climb up there, you can go. It's a pretty high, no elevator, it's stairs.
А куди ти хочеш? Середа, де ми будемо?
See, this is ticket. See, look at the lines. You see, that's at least half an hour
Okay.
because it's very slow. We don't have. From inside. with bricks or whatever. Stone. It used to be the original castle was made of wood. And Austrians made them during the time when they were on the been uncovered because during the Austrian occupation here, they used this castle as a military compound. Austrians. So they painted everything. They painted walls white. You see? And they cover up those things. So they start scraping the paint and they discover. So far they discover only that much. But now let's go catch our tour because we're gonna be going in hurry. All the good stuff. So, this was not designed for this purpose. It used to be no gutters at all, and the water will evenly come straight down, right? Okay, let's go back because we don't want to miss them.
Вот как тут вытерлась ступенька. И я тоже приложила свою силу. Тоже они смешные.
Więcej, ale mama się kupiła.
For the king. Now you can buy apartments here. Starts from $6 million. 6 million zloty, I'm sorry. That's like $1.5 million. See right there. Those buildings, those are apartments that you can buy. I have no idea how many are available. I think the first ones are six.
Нам раздали наушники такие вот. Угу. И заходим.
Let's turn the volume. every exhibition in the castle, except one, which is now closed. And we will be going over, we will be in many rooms and outside as well. You may take pictures everywhere, of course, inside without flash. You may take water for the tour, but no soft drinks, please, no coffee, okay? And if you've got any backpacks, bigger backpacks, just you would have to deposit them and the luggage room and show you where, okay? And what's more, if you decide to leave earlier, okay, some people do it from time to time, please don't forget to give the things back to me, okay, because we will need them just in a moment, okay? So this exhibition, the first one, and just the title, The Most Precious, means that you can see some, not the most precious, not the most precious because of, money, but the most precious for us, objects in the castle, which means the oldest, the unique objects, right, the preserved, etc., etc. This exhibition where we start is called the Wawel. It is divided into two parts. We're presenting to you kind of a museum plus archaeological reservation site. But we start next to this model, and you can see Wawel Hill at the end of the 18th century. So let me give you first some information on this place. So Wawel was the first seat of Polish rulers as early as 1,000 years ago, more or less. Officially, the Polish state was, let's say established when the first Duke was baptized together with the country, with the people. It was in 966. The first ruler who stayed here just began to build palaces in the 40s of the 11th century. The first residences don't exist. The next palace from the 14th century still here, covered under the ground, and some parts can be seen already. Just now, even now, this palace, the Renaissance one, was built in the 16th century for the last kings of Jagiellonian dynasty. So Poland existed at the very beginning as the duchy, later the Kingdom of Poland till the end of the 14th century. Later the sort of Commonwealth of Poland and Lithuania, which was ruled by the second huge dynasty, the so-called Jagiellonian dynasty. The founder of this dynasty was the Grand Duke of Lithuania, Władysław Jogaila in Lithuania, and Polish Jagiełło, who came here, married our king, a girl, age 10, she was a king of Poland. He became a king, and she became a queen then, at the end of the 14th century. So this palace was designed and built by Italian architects for the last practically the last king of Jagiellonian dynasty. It was used by the last kings from the dynasty and by the first chosen kings. Because after the death of the last Jagiellonian, who died 1572, leaving no children, the next kings of Poland for the next 200 and something years were elected, chosen by the Polish nobility. In Poland, the Commonwealth of Poland and Lithuania was ruled by elected kings till 1795, when the country collapsed. Spatial, let's say, shape of the hill. The 11, leaving a ruin here actually. Everything had renovated the castle, restored castle, was over. As a museum, 1913, Poland regained independence 1918 as a so-called Second Republic, without kings anymore. So the, let's say, democratic country was ruled by government president, and Wawel became then one of the residences, official residences of President of Poland, Ignacy Mościcki. Later, the Second World War and the Nazis in the castle, Wawel became the main seat of Hans Frank, the Governor General of occupied Poland. Frank lived in the former residence of Polish presidents between 1939 and 1941. The Nazis left very quickly. Of course, they didn't have enough time to restore the castle, fortunately, but they plundered the castle, and still we are looking even now for more than 300 stolen objects we have. Now we've got in our castle and State Museum of Historical Interiors, and you see most of them. But look, we see the model, the shape of the hill at the end of the 18th century, so the Renaissance, Gothic castle, Gothic parts all in there, the Baroque towers all in there, the whole thing, the whole huge hill surrounded with defense facilities, with towers. Unfortunately, towers are still here, but the present-day walls are, they were replaced with newer ones in the 19th century. In the middle of the hill today, you can't see basically anything. Then there were two churches here, many buildings for people who were lay residents of the hill, I mean just they worked for the castle, for the rulers of Poland, plus many buildings which were used only by the clergy, by the priests working for the church, for the cathedral, okay? Everything vanished, let's say, in the 19th century because the Austrians needed a place for military maneuvers, right? So they did the research, as I said before, to many places here on the hill, and in this part we are next to this tower, a building with 4 chimneys, royal kitchens of Sigismund I the Old, behind the kitchens royal coach houses and royal stables in the front. The whole complex was rebuilt, I mean demolished, rebuilt by the Austrians, who built a hospital here, and again the same place was refurbished one more time, let's say. So the Nazis built this building. Surprise, surprise, we are in the building from the time of the Second World War, on the surface. Because over there, around the corner, you can see the best preserved, the oldest sacred building in Poland, the so-called Rotunda of St. Felix and Adaltus. It was uncovered by a team of archaeologists in 1917-18. They found as much as you can see looking at pictures over there, you can see in the second picture, so original fragments, as much as this could be preserved, and they decided to reconstruct this building, to this shape. Only this upper part wasn't made of stone, it was made of wood. And let me show you this ramp, let's say, around. This part in this township called Wawel township was also described as the so-called lower castle. The border between 2 parts can be seen down there. So this is a wall from the end of the 13th century, this one down there, which separated, the upper castle from the lower castle. And on the same side, you can see, pilasters, fragments of arches. They supported some maybe stoves or something, some kitchen facilities. The same goes for round structures, round structures over there. So you can see basically all Renaissance structures connected with the royal kitchens, plus the walls, of course. But the most important, significant thing here, this part of the so-called Rotunda of St. Felix and Adaltus, dating back to the end of the 10th century, so more than 1,000 years old. You can see only one of the apses, the southeastern apse of this church. The whole body, the round body, can be seen just only in parts. Behind just this wall, I'll show it to you just in a moment. You can see a building which was built of sandstone with very thick walls. Originally it was plastered, but of course no traces of plaster, plus no traces of polychromy, and the church was also painted. It served as a small church, most probably founded by one of the first rulers who lived here on the hill. It served as a church until the moment when they built this wall. It was then, the structure was then incorporated as a defense facility, as a defense tower, into the whole system of defense facilities of the castle. After 150 years, more or less, it was again converted into a palace chapel of Casimir the Great, the last piece, and after again 200 years more, a little bit more, less, 150, 60 years, so this chapel was converted again into a room to store royal silverware, right? And as a storage room for silverware, it just, let's say, existed till the beginning of the 17th century, when Sigismund Vasa, the third elected king, moved to Warsaw. The rooms stood empty then, and the Austrians who came here in 1796 cut off the upper part. Only this part could be preserved because it was like incorporated into this wall, okay? And the rest, behind the wall, you can see only down there, to the left of the in the 11th century, there were at least, they'd say, 7 stone sacred buildings. I mean, the first version of the cathedral appeared around the year 1000, and many smaller churches like this one, founded most probably by the dignitaries, I mean, the most important people who lived here, around the churches, and in the churches they found a lot of burials, like in this case you can see a grave, right? A burial place of one of the dignitaries. Of course we don't have any names, nothing, any written sources, I mean just telling us the name of this person. Of course they did a research to the bones, they examined them, and they found out that a man aged more or less 40 was buried here. So most probably a very important person, because from one of his fingers they removed a golden ring. I'll show it to you later in the treasury. So he must have been some of a kind of a ruler, or some of from the family of rulers. Next to this, I mean, to pre-Romanesque. Pre-Romanesque means the structure was built earlier than the middle of the 11th century. So down there here you can see pre-Romanesque structures. The 20th century, the original rotunda was more or less 18 to 20 meters high. Next to this part, I mean the same rotunda, they built later in the 14th century, I mean foundations of one of the buildings from the palace of Casimir the Great. So you can see here very complicated situation. It is very difficult to say which part belongs to which epoch. Of course, we can base only on research of archaeologists. So this is pre-Romanesque time, and that part is Gothic. Like Gothic at the end of the 14th century. In the other part of this exhibition, we are presenting to you, I mean, against of course original walls, but display cabinets showing objects which were found on the hill during archaeological research. They rebuilt the castle as well. So when something was not of any use anymore, or that was too old, like stoves, Renaissance stoves, they were removed and they built new ones. So you can see here tiles which were building stoves which were used for heating. Models showing stoves can be seen in glass cases. We are presenting two tiles which were found in archaeological research excavations near the castle. Just the Austrians could demolish the stones in the chambers. They used to, dismantle them and throw the tiles out of the windows, and they landed somewhere near to the facades and on the pavement and the broad. Of course, many of them they found more than 3,000 fragments. The best preserved ones can be seen. Of course, the small ones can be seen here as well. So we can really see a variety of different motifs, colors, and so vegetal and animalistic, let's say, the figures or motifs were used as decoration. You can see also symbols, like in this case, symbols which are very often, which you can see very often here, they repeat themselves very often. I mean, eagles, an eagle is a symbol, the common ones of Poland. This letter entwined around the body of the bird. S stands for Sigismundus I, so the name of the king who ruled here. when they built this castle, the same symbol here. And this symbol, I mean, a coat of arms of Sforza family, Sforza from Milan, Bona Sforza, princess, came to Poland in 1518. She became the second wife of Sigismund I. And looking at this tile and the other one, in the corner, we can see more or less the tiles which built the roofs of Wawel Castle. Today you can see really boring roofs because all of them are red, of course, and all of them were built in the 20th century. Original roofs were much more beautiful, much more colorful, so most of them look like the tiles here. So we can only imagine the view of the castle in the 16th century. They found as many tiles as this here to build only a part of the stone. So you can see models, but as the sources say, written sources say, the original stones were much more decorative. They had even globes, gilt globes on the top of the whole structure, so the stones were used only as you've seen already the first, let's say, presentation side. You will see two more on just areas located under the ground. Later we'll go up to the first and to the second floor of the castle and we'll finish on the ground floor. So almost every exhibition can be seen during this tour. So around you can see this Nazi house, let's say, from the Second World War, and around the hill you can see fragments of defense facilities from the old times, plus towers which are original. The Thieves Tower, that one, of the 15th century, that one. The other Sandomierska, which can be visible. You can go up to the top, very top of the tower, and you see the beautiful panorama of Kraków. And the third tower, the same age, I mean in the 15th century, the senatorial tower placed over there. Plus, you can see here the castle like a state institution. And here in the castle, on the hill, you can see something which belongs to the state and the other part which belongs to the church. That part belongs to the church. I mean, buildings around there, just the red, let's say, buildings, they are buildings which belong to the cathedral. And in front of you, you can see this church, I would recommend seeing the cathedral as well. Like, I mean, the most important church in Poland. The coronation site of kings and queens of Poland, the burial place of many, most of them, I mean, beautiful coffins, sarcophagi can be seen over there, plus the center of cult of the most important and the very first Polish saint, Saint Stanislaus, who was canonized in 1253 in Assisi. Relics of the saint are placed in a beautiful coffin in the middle of the church. So buying a ticket over there, and they opened just 5 minutes or something. Buying a ticket for the church, just over there, you can visit the main nave, the presbytery, go up to the tower, not visible from here, Sigismund Tower with this beautiful Sigismund bell, go down to the crypt, plus you can visit, but not today, but this museum is closed, I mean the museum of the cathedral, but you can use the same ticket, I mean on Monday, Tuesday and so, plus the third place, this is the museum of Kraków Archdiocese, I mean with the same ticket, okay? 3 places to see. Let us go now towards the cathedral you can see the fragment of the Roman cathedral. This first one is the Gothic one. So from the first one, the cathedral, the second one, the part of the tower, limestone, 12 centuries. The rest remain valuable. The kingdom of, the Commonwealth of Poland and Lithuania were formed. Now, ladies and backpacks, of this size, more or less, you can keep your bags, handbags, you can keep smaller backpacks, but bigger ones must be deposited over there, okay? So please now a moment to deposit your luggage. Of course, you don't have to pay. You have to just leave it. You have to leave it over there, right? Your luggage, right? Because they don't allow.
Nice, it's cool in here.
Ого.
So from this 11th century fragments, of course, the fragment of an altar, the fragments of the Poland, supporting the sort of Poland, the gallery, found some organic material, but not sufficient to say the age, to tell the age of this person. So a male was buried here. Again, somebody important who was buried at the foot of one of the altars in the church, and next to this gallery. Okay, so we are in the so-called transept of this church, plus the presbytery could be preserved. In this part, they built later a Gothic church, from which we got again this arch and polygon. And the third, meaning the interior of the church. So these are Gothic elements. And now,
Осторожно.
decided even to cut out fragments of the walls to just really say that this is a kind of an impression of
Thank you. Интересно.
There was a public toilet exactly over there for guests, right? Kings had their own toilets in the castle. So these toilets exist, I mean, the same place existed. Today you can see, let's say, not royal, not old, but contemporary toilets, but located in the same place. And we have these on the steps, that are many of them, leading downwards. Under the eastern and northern wing of the castle, you can see 6 only, but original rooms, spaces, and of course cellars where you can store food, drinks, for example, wood, which was used later for just heating the castle. And now we place here an exhibition, our last permanent exhibition, opened this year, an exhibition called Black Hidaru, a part of this route, the Wawel underground. In each room you can see the inscription on the floor showing what you see. I mean, what is the topic of this, the main topic of the content of each of the rooms. And what we are presenting to you here is the history of recovering of Wawel from the Austrian hands. I'm just beginning almost each time from pictures. I mean, let me show you at first the view of the castle during the Austrian occupation. So you can see, of course, beautiful courtyard with columns, slender columns, and so. So the Austrians replaced a roof. I mean, they removed the Renaissance roof built of colorful tiles. They built their own roof, which was quite heavy. So the columns were too weak to support the weight of the roofs. So they decided to brick over the columns, and they created this courtyard in this shape. I mean, covering actually every single column, plus adding some wall at the very top, at the top of the walls under the roof. So, after the Austrians, even before Poland became an independent country, after the Austrian soldiers had left in 1911, there were discussions, heated discussions here on the hill what to do. So they knew very well there would be no kings of Poland, there would be no kingdom of Poland, and Poland became a republic, as I said before. So they had to decide what to do with the castle. There were two main options. One of them saying, let us leave alone everything here. Because actually this is the doctrine of the conservation, which is used even today. Let us leave everything alone, let us not add anything and not to reconstruct anything, right? That was the option actually represented by imperial officials from Vienna. And the Poles, who had something to say as well, so Polish architects, art historians, they wanted to make out of the Wawel castle the symbol of the Polish state. So for years there was no Poland. People were, they missed the castle very much. They wanted to show this castle in its full glory from the best time, from the 16th and the 17th century. So they wanted to just remove the Austrian masonry and to uncover the Renaissance face of Wawel Castle. And they did it. And they spent 8 years while doing it. So look please at this forest of scaffoldings here. I mean, they really covered the whole courtyard with this wooden structures, and they very patiently removed almost every single piece of Austrian masonry, and they uncovered the where is it? Oh, here, just look at the first one. Yeah, I mean, you can see the shape of the castle after the removal of this Austrian part, and they just decided to leave it then at that shape. And while doing, just the restoration, and even earlier, when the Austrians were rebuilding the Renaissance castle into the barracks, because the castle was used as military barracks, many fragments were broken, destroyed and so on, and you can see them here. Parts of, let's say, of decoration of the facade of the castle, just to help you to identify the single objects here, we prepared this drawing on glass, so you can see which fragments can be seen here. Mostly fragments of columns, window, door framings, window, of course, the portals, etc. So going through the rooms here, on both sides, you can see and please note that they try to use all material. They also use the whole building and Renaissance one. And look at the walls, there's a stone, there's a brick. Most of the stone. Living stones. This is stone from the 14th century, used again in the 16th century This is the well. So, what were the sources of water for the inhabitants of Wawel Castle? They had many wells, only this one could survive. And you can see a Gothic well from the 14th century, which was drilled in limestone. It is very deep, more or less 40 meters under the surface of the courtyard and 17 meters under the level of streets surrounding Wawel Hill. So really very deep, and you can see this well from the very top just in a moment. So this scheme showing how deep the well is. You can see the device used then for drawing water, and they used this well for centuries. Even in the 19th century, during the Austrian occupation, you'll see a photograph showing this well in a moment. And then the last one here.
No, I want to see that, man.
When the castle was left by the Austrian soldiers, there was no Poland, independent Poland. Poland became an independent country, as I repeated 3 times already, in 1980. But that was a country which had to grow together from 3 independent parts, occupied by Prussians, Russians, and Austrians. The economical situation of the country was extremely, extremely bad. There was no money. There was a time when one of the directors, let's say, of the renovation of the castle, the architecture, Professor Krzysztof, had a very smart idea. He asked people for help, and they raised money. The board of the renovation of the castle decided to sell bricks. Each of them cost like 30,000 Polish marks. That was the cost of a day of work on Wawel Hill. They sold more than 6,000 bricks, and they could pay for the first part for the stage of renovation of Wawel Castle. Who bought them? Private people, institutions, looking at them, knowing Polish, of course. You can just see the names of schools, banks, soldier units, etc., etc. So very often people from abroad, the Poles, also bought such bricks. Sometimes they bought them as gifts for weddings, for birthdays, and so. So that was like a whole action, patriotic action. People really cared for this castle, and they still do nowadays. Okay. After Statues and the last we have, just you can see the well, and we go see the rest of the castle, the driving parts. Yes, please.
Prosto pana.
Too heavy and too expensive. No, so they are only, let's say, reconstructed tiles. Original tiles don't exist anymore.
Secondly,
Yeah.
can you tell us what happened to the monks? Why they don't exist?
You mean the Polish? If you could please save your ticket to the end of our tour, okay? Because I don't want to, just interrupt our guests, other guests. But if you've got any questions, I'll answer all of them, if only I can, at the end of the tour, okay? I mean, you mean the Commonwealth, right? Why glass? I'll explain later.
Teraz idziemy skarbiec i potem zbrojowy.
Great enough, it's cold enough, you can just stand in the place where I'm standing, looking from at water down there.
Oh.
So the level of water is located more or less 17 meters under the level of this floor. So the well was accessible for this upper let's say, level, the floor, in the 16th century. It still existed over centuries, even during the time of the Austrians and the castle. They used to draw water from this well. So you can see the device from the 19th century. During the Austrian occupation, so this is this part, looking a little bit shabbier, I would say. You can also see again the cross-section of this part of the castle. We are under stairs, under one of the staircases of the castle, called the envoy staircase. On the hill, they only had wells, a couple of them. They had also a system providing with water one of royal bathhouses. On the hill, I mean, many buildings don't exist anymore. On the hill, there were two bathhouses for gentlemen, for ladies. A bathhouse for ladies, for the queen and her court ladies, was located between the western wing of Wawel and the cathedral. And at the foot of Wawel Hill, excuse me, there was a device called rurmus, looking like that one, just represented in the model. A system of wheels, of pumps, drawing water from a small stream surrounding the hill, then pumping water, to the top of the hill, providing with water a place between the cathedral and the western wing of Wawel, where the royal bathhouses were located. So quite smart. Plus, they had in the castle not only this public toilet I mentioned before, they had 20 toilets. Small toilets. I'll show you later one of them. Partly reconstructed, of course, but still the same place. But all of them looked more or less like this one. You can see a Gothic toilet, which is still here. And the part which is not accessible for tourists, unfortunately, in one of the towers. So BSC Tower, you can see a Gothic toilet. So the more or less the same. Only the roof a little bit, reshaped and so, but still the same system. Stone plus wood on the top plus a hole. That was it, right? And of course they had water, so they could have baths as well. So you can see baths in the castle. And in front there you can see also part of this.
That's a big well. Do you think that water's fresh then? Do you think that water's fresh? Tom? Which is if that water is fresh?
Thank you. Такой запах старости.
All of them made of bilingual, silk, golden and silver thread, and we still have most of them in our castle there in the coming large amazing tapestries. This is an apartment consisting of 4 big rooms and 1 smaller one, an apartment which was owned by a boy, aged 15. So following this operation, I have to say, because for 8 years we had this 2 people sitting at each way. So we had a father sitting with us, plus his son, who was from the king of Poland, being 10 years old. So there was here, you can see an apartment all with the son, and the other one, an apartment all with the father. So we could achieve the king, and he was entitled to get this old apartment. He got it 1 year later, so he 15. So it was a kind of dining room. They used to dine on twice a day. Twice a day. On feast day, you can think more at the house. They done this on a take. And very two very years. And the king had also a vestibule, the sort of presence chamber, and the bedroom. It was also the vestibule. And in French language, I'm trying to make it as brief as possible. The small room in the former study of things Disney Augustus. You can see the tapestries from the royal collection with the sort of barrels between tapestries with landscapes. Their collection was extremely expensive. I mean, only the religious wealthiest European rulers could afford such a huge collection of tapestries. Our tapestries collection is considered to be the biggest preserved collection made for one castle. So you can see really a very rare collection. What happened to them? They don't look the best consistency, right? Like a bit and that. So fade away. They had to travel, like they spent days and months traveling. Because they were, used to different places in Poland. They were told, one of our electric to need money. They were told to nice. Then we brought to Warsaw. From Warsaw to the Russians, they decorated classes on Saturday, and they used for 170 years. Came into Poland, Poland actually won a war against the Bolsheviks in 1921. They call it the history of Europe. So it's to give back to Poland's whole cultural roots. So stepping down with them, we had Victor and Fidesz for the Nazis to their travel. They were evacuated on the history of Poland, they survived the Canada in 1961, and we already have them back here in our castle. Plus, in this part of the information, in this part, you can see pictures, because we haven't got any pictures which were owned by kings of Poland because of the very simple reason. Sigismund Vasa, who just moved this place, who moved out to Warsaw in 1611, he took basically everything from the castle to Warsaw. And coming back, he's brought some things with them. And going again, leaving the castle, they took the things and brought them again to Warsaw. So from the past version of the castle, from the pictures and so, we don't have really much. Pictures here of the red. Don't leave one person. This is the Lena. For the lady, we got 187 pictures by Italian masters taken between the 14th and 16th centuries. I won't describe the whole collection, don't be afraid please, but if you are interested, there is a gradual, let's say, tour in this collection on our website. We are showing all beautiful pictures, and every single one is really worth seeing, I have to say. But the chosen one for you, and this one by Dossi Giovanni Penny, a picture representing a butterfly, which was painted in 1528 for a Duke of Ferrara and Bosso d'Este. And looking at this picture, which is really beautiful, you can't imagine what complicated story is behind it. I mean, in Italy later on auctions in Vienna, bought by the Lanzarote collection, for Denmark and Philippos, they were later for the palace in Vienna, confiscated by the Nazis, in 38, this one was chosen for the Museum of Hitler in this, found by American soldiers in Vienna. The family brought them to Switzerland. They survived years and kept safe in Swiss banks. In 1994, 5 years after the break of communism in Poland, and 2 years after the last Russian Soviet soldier had left the Polish soil, the lady, the last in the family, decided to give everything she possessed to have free country. We got Renaissance pictures, Warsaw Baroque, and classicistic pictures. So thanks to one gesture, we got now in Poland, in fact, the biggest in Poland and the most beautiful collection of Renaissance paintings. So thanks to one person only. So again, we are happy that we have them. And now we have this going to the next book, and only at the same time.
Oh. Madonna and Child. Ceiling.
Renaissance time. The present day stones are later rock in the very beginning of the 18th century. Furniture, representing furniture which was in use in this room. Some beds were very typical for Renaissance interiors. Small, because they were single beds, used by one person. So this is a room of a boy who later became an adult, of course, right? And he was married 3 times. With Elizabeth and Catherine of Austria, sisters, the first and the third wife. The second wife, Barbara Radiouvna, was the king's big love. He spent nights with the second one in the same bed, because the other ladies, they even didn't pretend they liked each other. In most of the cases, really, there were no political marriages. People really didn't like each other. There were even only 3 exceptions in the history of Poland where the king and the queen slept in the same bed and loved each other. The rest, they had to do some obligations. They had, sorry for the expression, to produce heirs. That was the goal of the union, say, of the political marriage of queens and kings. And that was it, right? So they usually, in Krakow, there was a castle that the king who had to do the business, he had to leave his rooms on the first floor, go up to the apartment of the queen. They would spend one night in the bedroom of the lady and back again. We know that Sigismund I, who had Bonasforza, been around 50, and the lady usually was on 24. So people said that he visited the lady almost every night, although he claimed he had been so old and exhausted. So see, somehow he gave some energy, right? So this is the pictures of the same collection. This is not only in Brussels, from the 16th century, we are on portrait control of India or Spain, and we are expecting these and going to the
Mhm.